All right, today in this video, I am going over the Reven ribbons, the swing, trend, and scalp system. You can see the table here and the targets, target plots right there. They will be plotted as in the data window. You can see as zeros or ones when they are hit. So you can make alerts from these and actually intrabar use them to make scalp or swing or trend trades. You can use the stop loss system. All of these things can be used to automate and make trades out of them. However, as of now, TradingView does not allow for its strategy tester to enter and exit trades, so you have to make them manually a bit different way, and we will look at that towards the end of the video. But first I want to talk about all of the details and settings in here. This certain or specific ribbons indicator is the most updated one, and I don't have, I say most updated, to the date of filming this video, and I have some extra sections in here that are not available yet to all users because I am testing some of them, including trending trades. Right now, I do not have swing plus trend available, but we still will look at that for when it does release. And yeah, we'll look at a couple other things for when it actually does release. So the first thing you want to do if you want to use this system, well, first of all, you can use it completely without the system, as I have explained in other videos. But if you want to get the signals for it, say just enable the signal tracking. If you want to have scalp mode on, which we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take that off right now. Just the really basics. Right now, we are just using the signal tracking, and we are on traditional swing. External cross is for these other sources right here, and I'm not going to look at that in this video. The traditional swing, as I have explained it in other videos, is a close up, a wick up near or into the dotted support, or down into the dotted support, or up into the dotted resistance band, but a close below it. So a close past it means trend is on. Close below it means swing is on. There is a way to slightly adjust this because, let's be honest, it might barely cross it, but to me, that is not sure enough to go into a trending trade, and I still consider a slight close above that line a swing. When you see a heavier close above it, it does indicate more of a trend, though any of these obviously can fail at any time. So this is why we have the table, and this is why I have the signals here, so you can go back and backtest and look to see how often it failed and where it failed versus how long we actually took or how many times it actually made it all the way through and took profit off of that. Let me go ahead and delete that. Okay, so the first, let's look at the first one over here. We saw a close, let's see, actually right here. This is a much better example to start with. So we saw a close above, but a wick into this support one band here, which initiated a long signal. And if you go to the plots right here, you can see, where is that? Our long entry signal right there, that plots a 1. So if you make a alert, you can say, let's go ahead and just go ahead and do that right now. Come on, add alert. So you're going to say you want to, let's see, what was our long entry signal? Crossing value 1. I believe that's crossing up, I suppose. Okay, so this is a way to set up our signal to initiate an alert, and you can add a message to that to make your exchange, just like you can with the SKX, to make your exchange via Alertatron or whatever you're using, initiate an actual trade right there. So right now we have the ribbons. Long entry signal, so that's what we're using. That's a 1 right there. That's plotting 1. So crossing up into a 1. So it's usually 0. Whenever it hits a 1, it will send this alert. So that is an entry signal. So if you want to do a exit signal, and here you'd put your entry. If you want to do an exit signal, you would say, long. Let's see right here. Target 1 hit long. So that will be this right here. It's T1, T2 is right there, and T3 is right there. So these are technically, if you're doing a swing long, would be your sell signals. So your buy signal here, buy whatever amount you want, and then you can sell whatever amount you want right there. If you want to do your risk exit, you would put a not a trend exit. Where is that at? Gosh, exit long right here, or exit short if it's a swing. And so that will initiate anytime that you see a right here. So you see, actually that's a stop loss. Is it a, yes, and it's an exit short. So you have your stop loss number right here, so you can use that, or you can use exit short right there as a plot of a 1. So anytime that it invalidates or, you know, goes into a trending, if it's swing short but it goes into a trend long, off of that it will exit, and you can see here it was a good place to exit. However, we did see it immediately almost enter a short again. It hit one target, then exited again, it went up a little bit higher. So this can be what's the word, optimized a bit, and I'll show you how to optimize it a little bit more here soon. And I still recommend, I honestly think hand trading this is still the best way to go. Users that want to, you know, try to automate it, feel free, but I would definitely test it over at least a few week period before you're really putting anything at risk on this. Okay. So now you can see how our plots work, and you can't even use this in the SKX. However, it will not send signals on Wix as of now. Maybe at some point it could do that. I just don't think that TradingView allows that in the SKX right now. But anyway, okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is scalping versus not. So right now I do have scalping on. I turned that back on, but let me look at it off right here for a minute. With scalping off, you just have your single trade, your swing trade. It hits each target level, take profit level, and then finally target 4 over here when it swings into the last band. So we do have, again, you got 4 bands right there. And if you want to have it re-enter trades after it takes profit, so this is how it would work. As soon as target 1 is hit, target 2 or target 3, they are now available to re-enter. So you can see as it swings back down, we are buying, or I mean, I guess if I wouldn't be selling here if you're using it as intended. So you would be selling, you know, you enter long, say you enter $100 here, take profit of $25, take profit $25. If you're doing even take profits, another take profit of $25. Now we hit our T3 red level, which is also our short. It was way too many plots to put re-entry signals, so I had to use the short on the long swings and the long on short swings, or vice versa. So again, just kind of watch this pain over here. You hit T1, you hit T2 right there, you hit T3, then our T3 short, which is could be, you know, a buy signal if you're trying to scalp. When you see that wick into the midline, you could re-enter. So re-enter $25 in, re-enter another $25 in, and re-enter the last $25 in. So now you've taken 3 profit levels and you've re-entered. So now you're back to where you started, but you have that profit taken. However, this trade will obviously be in the red down here. The initial $25, the last profit target, will be at a slight loss. Yeah, be at a slight loss here. So you have to very much understand how this all works, and I would definitely take the time to do that, because when you're re-entering, obviously you're going to be in the red for a while. And this trade, in fact, went all the way down -6% before it finally bounced. But it did bounce. So again, now we're entering a full position again here, and we're exiting right here. So this is a very picture-perfect swing and scalp trade, because all of the take profit levels finally did get hit over here. So that is, yeah, that's just something that is available for users that want to re-enter swings. And there are times it will bounce around all over the place and take a lot of small scalp trades within the overall swing trade. But you know, beware that at times, because it's taking off the band levels could drop to take profit actually a lower place than it even entered. So just because it has a 91% hit rate doesn't mean it's 91% profitable. It just means that it was hit. Now, a lot of times it is, you know, at least somewhat in profit. But if you want to get around this, you can do a fixed position right here instead of fluid. That will, I don't think I have this possibility yet shown, but it will be coming where you can take profit from the fixed levels, which means as soon as the trade entered, our target 1 band was right here at 103K, target 2 band was at 106K, our target 4 band, sorry, 3, my mind is gone, was at 110K, and the last target was at 112K. So you can't see if it was a fixed price or a fixed level right here, the last take profit would not get hit until this bar right here. And it does get hit a little bit less often if you do fixed levels, not fluid levels. So again, it's depending on the way you want to trade it. And we do have our table. I did not really explain this table yet, but you do have your hit rate here for fluid. If you go to fixed, it will say fixed there. So it's very, very often that support 1, like almost all the time, support 1 gets hit. About 70% of the time, midline gets hit, and 50% the resistance 1, 40% that the resistance 1 dotted gets hit. The last one is resistance 2, which almost never gets hit because it's beyond the swing. And the way that you can show that is if you let it continue scalping after target's complete, which will let the trade actually go. So you can see right here, target 5 was hit, and a re-entry for target 4. So hit target 4 there, re-entered here, which is just barely lower. Then it hit target 5 again, and target 4 actually was hit here. Interesting. I need to make sure that that is working right. When it continues on, it looks like I need to actually mess with that a bit more. But anyway, if you want you know, the swing, the trade to keep going, you just enable continue scalping after target completes. That means it will keep going long until a short signal is entered. So this means that you're never really out of a trade. You're always swinging long or you're swinging short. The only time that you're out of a trade is if it hits the risk exit, which you can't see back here. Then it's out of a trade for a minute. Right here, it did get out of the trade. There is probably a little bit better way to manage risk that I'll be working on in the future. And again, this is why I think hand trading this is a bit better, because there probably was more signs that you should not enter a swing short right there. But we'll come back to that later on. I think that's everything I need to talk about. Oh, the last 2 things is I do have counter targets, which don't get hit very often. Let me see if I can find this. So say you enter a long trade right here, and while you're still in the long trade, it almost touched this band, but a support 2, which as you can see is a 9% chance of getting hit. When we're swinging long, it only has a 9% chance of hitting this support 2 band right here. But if you are wanting to get in a really, really great position and you're going long, you can see that your risk exit is a close below this level. I did not explain that at the beginning, so forgive me as I am all over the place, but your risk exit will be the price of the support 1 band when the trade was entered as of right now. So we had our risk exit at close below 75, which means if it wicks below 75, that either that level and or this band right here, depends on if you have it on fixed or fluid, will be a extra entry point. So say again, you want to enter maybe 75 out of your $100. You enter on the long, and then 25 you enter if it swings into this band. Or maybe you want to leverage, go into a leverage trade. Maybe you enter 100 right there, and then you enter an extra $50 right there because you're already really close to your risk exit. So if it does close below this level, then you're out, and you're actually maybe out at a tiny bit of profit on that if it closes barely below it. Or you might, if it really goes down, obviously you'll have a pretty big loss on both of those. So again, very important to manage risk and to understand this. But that is how the support to what I call these counter targets. The counter targets work, and in this mode, support 2 dotted while still in a trade has very in the 0% chance of getting hit currently in the last 100 trades. But at other times that is usable. So okay, that is explaining the general system and how that works. If you have questions on this, feel free to message me on Discord. Now we're going to look at some of the settings in here. Band mode, fluid, or fixed. Again, I explained that earlier. Fluid is the levels of the band as they move over time. Fixed is the exact price the bands were at when the trade initiated. So it would not take profit at this midline here. It would have to it would wait to take profit until it wicked up into that price right there. And if you do go to fixed mode, you will see the percentage goes down because, again, it goes down. Yeah, it goes down a decent amount. However, your profit will be higher, if that makes sense. So you'll generally, not always, actually sometimes it might be a little bit lower, but you'll generally get a bit higher profit. You can see that, yeah, target 2 actually didn't get hit until, let's see, if that makes sense. Yeah, target 2 didn't get hit till all the way over here now. So you're taking profit at a much higher price, whereas target 2 used to be down here. So you are getting a higher winning percent in general at the trade-off of a lower chance of it getting hit. So that's what fixed is. I'm going to put it back on fluid. You got your table text size. I'll actually go ahead and put that on a little bit bigger so we can see that. You have your signal history look back. So this is super helpful if you want to just look at, on a daily time frame. We're still looking back all the way to 2015. So if you want to look at more recent history, you can say, 50. Let's look at the last 50 trades going long. That will be back to 2021. Okay, so if you want to look at more recent history of swing, and again, these stats are only showing the direction that the current trade is in. So if you want to see the counter directions, you just have to throw on bar replay and to go back. So if I want to see a short, I'm just going to throw on bar replay and go back to when it was actually doing, trading a short right here. So here's the short statistics right there. All right, so now you can get your general percentage and all that for scalp and for general hit rate and all the levels. For a short trade, you have some information here. Right now, you're looking at the last 50 short swings and your hit. This is something that's important. I do have a slight forgiveness level for a few things. One would be the near miss ratio. This works for two things. One, it works for the wick. Sometimes you don't get a wick quite into, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this super easily. Okay, say over here, if you want to be way more aggressive with this wick did not nearly get down into that support band, but did have a little bit of a swing off of it. Now, it wasn't a perfect swing, but it got within 0.8% of that. So the wick was within 0.8%. So if you want to give that a lot of forgiveness here, you turn that near miss ratio up, and you're right now. I think this is not. Right now, this is based on ATR and volatility, and that shows the actual percent. So where your wicks right here, where it says hit, it needs to be within 0.18 of the band. So the wick does not have to completely touch that dotted band. It can be within 0.18%. And this also takes profit a little bit early, where these, I don't know if I can find a place where it does that. Okay, yes. So say here, this wick into the midline was within 0.18%. It's perfect. A little bit more, maybe 0.24. So it might not actually use that. But if you want to take profit a little bit more generously, this will allow you to take profit when it does not quite hit the band. So this is to simulate actual hand trading. If I was hand trading this, hey, if I did enter a swing long right here somewhere, this is a nice 2.75%. I'm really, really close. I might want to go ahead and take a little bit of profit off here. So you can adjust that near miss ratio to take profit, and this will actually send the signal early only if you hit signal offset alert level by near miss. So if you turn that on, which if you are if you're not hand trading this, I would do that. If you are hand trading this, then you can the visuals, I believe, will signal. I think they will actually. I need to look on that. But regardless, if you are trading that way, you want to turn this offset alert level by near miss, because that will actually give you accurate results where the alerts will be sent when you're within that percent. So again, if you're wanting to emulate hand trading and have a little bit of forgiveness. However, again, this will reduce your profit a little bit, obviously, because you will take profit a little bit early. So that's what your near miss ratio is for, and that's what the info box talks about right there. Target skip ratio. We're only looking at traditional swing mode right now. Yeah, so this is how far below. I mentioned earlier, sometimes it will barely close below or barely close above, and I would still consider that a swing because it's not what I would say a convincing close beyond. So you can adjust how much forgiveness you have. So right now it's 0.25, which is 0.9%. So very close. It does not have very much wiggle room to close past that band. If you want it to be, have a lot more forgiveness, you can turn it up a lot more. This will enter trades a lot more often, and it does. I think it actually hurts the short percentages right there. So you can adjust that to your liking on whatever asset you're looking at, whatever time frame you're looking at. This is why the table is here to kind of help guide you in sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Help guide you on what is most beneficial long term. Actually now as I'm thinking about it, I should put another part to this table that shows how often stop losses were hit for long and short trades, because that would definitely be helpful to know. To know. So I'm gonna do that here in the next few days. I will add that to the table. The last thing is entry close tolerance. Okay, so this is how far below the dotted band it can go. The entry close tolerance is how far above. So say it wicks all the way down into that band, but closes way up here. Not a super good entry. Again, so if I was hand trading this, maybe I want to swing short, right here. It probably would actually be a better, if I wanted to swing short, I might enter on a wick, not just a close, but that's not exactly how this table system works. So your wick is within 0.5, kind of close, but your close is all the way down. It's even more than that. It is 2% away from your support or resistance dotted band right here, and you're already at target 1. So if you're entering a trade right here, you're immediately exiting, and you're not actually making any profit off of hitting target 1. So I don't think that actually showing on the table. I probably should add that, but it's the same here. If you want to see what that percent looks like, you can just put there. And since it's based on ATR, it is based on volatility a little bit, so it will slightly change over time. Let's see, updated here. Yeah, so that's 0.7 is still entering 2.5% away from that band. So that's a pretty big gap down from that band. So you can minimize that a lot. And again, if I was hand trading this, a better way to do it might be to enter a mid wick for a swing short. All right, I had a bit of trouble with audio, so I had to stop the video and restart. What we were talking about was price wicking into the swing level and then closing far below it. So there is a bit of a nuance here. For example, if it wicks into it and then closes on this bar, it closed the short, or not closed, sorry. It wicked into it and entered the short at negative 2.3% lower than if you were front running it and entering it right there. Now, this does come at a cost or with risk, because if you do front run it, you have the chance of it turning into a trend play and it having a massive candle up. And so you definitely have to have a risk exit. This is where trading bands by hand is much better, more preferable for me. But I do have a safety net for users that are wanting to send signals, and that is to turn on signals only at bar close. This is very important, because otherwise it will give you a signal up here, and it will send you an alert signal, say enter. However, it won't. It could disappear. So that would, if it closed above, so if I find a place back here, right here, this would give you a short signal right there. However, it closed way up here, so that short signal would go away, and it wouldn't. Your system would not know that you are in a short. So again, this comes back to if you're hand trading it versus automating it. There's not really any good way to get around that. So what I have is that toggle in there for users that only want to send entry. It's only entry and only exit signals. All of the take profit, all of that stuff still happens at the right place, whether this is on or off. This needs to be turned on if you are going to automate the strategy. Otherwise, you'll get into some short trades or long trades when you really don't want to be in them. So that basically would not enter upon wicks. It would wait for closure. Obviously, this is a trend move here, so this would be a whole nother scenario right there. However, right here we did get a short because it closed below that. Now again, it's very, very close to your first take profit level. In fact, the first take profit level right here, target level, was literally at the same price. So this is where it's a little bit more helpful to have scalping on, so you can re-enter at better positions. But that is a nuance of the ribbons system here. Let's go on and wrap up the video here. The last things we're going to talk about is a couple other new additions that are not there yet but will be there soon. One is enable S0 and R0 dotted midlines. Those are extra take profit levels. You can see they show up on the table here, and they are much more likely to get hit than, say, the midband. So if you're swinging long, you can see this already hit take profit level 1. Again, this was not a great, not a great one because take profit 1 actually was lower. So if I was hand trading this, I probably would wait to even enter the trade until lower. Maybe I wouldn't take profit at level 1. I would just wait till level 2 to take profit. There's multiple ways to play that when you're hand trading it. But again, why it's important to do your research on it. Our take profit level 1 is right here. Take profit level 2 is right there. So we would have already hit take profit level 2 with S0 and R0 on these extra 2 dotted midlines. I'm running out of name for the ribbons, but yeah, so that is there. I believe I already talked about this offset alert levels by near miss. That's important if you are using the trigger system or the alert system to trigger trades. And I think we talked about everything else. We talked about signal history look back. That will let you look at, say, the last 50 trades versus 100 to give you the stats on that. Did we talk about near miss? I'm going to go over this one time in case I didn't. Near miss, I believe actually, yeah, I already did. I was going over that. Okay. So thanks for sticking with me through this video, getting through the technical difficulties. That is everything that is currently in play and needed to talk about here on our system. There will be some new additions coming soon for trending and all of that. And that will add a lot more flexibility. But for now, I'm going to leave the video off there. So if you have any thoughts or questions, just feel free to message me in the Discord. And like always, stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys in the next one.